How serious is this Derek Carr injury? Yeah, that's accurate. But maybe more seriously,
there is a possibility that Derek Carr does not play this season. That is real.
And Derek Carr's teammates that returned to play with him, how did they react?
Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's my car?
Bravo. The NFL draft's almost here. And one of the biggest things that could now shake up the first round of the draft is an injury Derek Carr is dealing with that may require surgery, and he could miss some or all of 2025. That will be the main thing we dive into today. There's a lot of uncertainty about who the Saints are right now, the direction they want to go as a team, and this adds to the intrigue. Deshaun Watson still believes he has good football left in him.
Everyone's doubting me. Everyone don't believe in me. Everyone don't think that I can get back to where I was.
And Tyreek Hill was involved in yet another domestic dispute. At first, it seemed like kind of a nothing story, but after the NFL requested the 911 audio, there might be more to it. Joe Flacco and Drew Lock are back with their former teams. So make sure you subscribe here if you like NFL football and this beautiful face giving it to you. Oh, I'm going to give it to you good. That's good. Sports! Which throwback do you like more? Drew Lock returning to the Seahawks or Joe Flacco returning to the Browns? Lock, of course, spent 2 years backing up Geno Smith in Seattle and will now be in the same role behind Sammy Darnold, while Joey Flacco was far and away the best quarterback on a 2023 Browns team that made the playoffs despite starting something like 19 different QBs that season, including one game where I'm pretty sure Bernie Kosar suited up. Flacco went 4-1 as the starter that year in Cleveland and threw for at least 300 yards and 4 straight wins before it all came crashing down in the wildcard round against the Houston Texans, a team they had inadvertently turned into a contender with the picks from the Deshaun Watson trade. Now, the Browns do possess the number 2 overall pick in this draft, but it seems like they'll likely forego a quarterback and instead take best player available, whether that's Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. At this point is a coin toss, and let Joe Flacco battle it out with Kenny Pickett. What a time to be alive! A former Steelers quarterback versus a former Ravens quarterback battling to be the starter for the Browns. Oh God, Browns fans, I'm sorry.
I know I'm gonna be way better than before.
As for Drew Lock, he started just 2 games over his 2 seasons in Seattle, but it's hard to not forget that magical Monday night game against the Eagles when he led a last-minute touchdown drive to stun Philly and remind everyone that he's good for one bizarrely great moment per season. Point in case, he had his best game against Joe Flacco and the Colts in Week 17 last year, ensuring the Giants would not pick number 1 in the draft. Lock threw 4 TDs for 309 yards, no picks, and had a passer rating of 155.3 and a wild 45-33 win for the Giants. If Cam Ward saves the Tennessee Titans, Drew Lock becomes one of the most important quarterbacks in Giants history. Backup QBs are important because you never know when they're going to come in and win you games when you need to lose, or take you to the playoffs, or win you a Super Bowl. There's a different regime in Seattle now, but after the tragic and untimely passing of Drew Lock's father recently, I'm glad he's in a familiar environment. This leads me, though, to one very important question for the Seahawks and Browns. Why the fuck didn't you just keep those quarterbacks in the first place? Deshaun Watson thinks he's coming back, and it's not just that Watson thinks he's coming back, it's that he thinks he's coming back stronger than ever.
I know I'm gonna be way better than before.
And if ever only includes his time in Cleveland, that's not going to be that hard to do, I guess. Here's a list of people who also think they're going to come back stronger than ever. Trevor Bauer, Kevin Spacey, and Ellen DeGeneres. I don't really get it with Watson. He's the luckiest man to walk on earth. He got the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history after getting accused of sex crimes by 22 different women. If there's anyone who doesn't need to rush their way back to the field, it's him. It's also got to be hard to recover from that kind of injury when only AI robots are allowed to work with you as personal trainers. And even they're not happy, from what I'm hearing. Tyreek Hill was involved in another domestic dispute. I'll pause and pretend like you're shocked. Congratulations, Tyreek Hill now has more domestic disputes than Tom Brady has rings. Hill has been running afoul of the law since 2014 when he was at Oklahoma State after he pled guilty to domestic assault and battery of his pregnant girlfriend, which led to 3 years of probation and his dismissal from the team. The Chiefs said no problem, they drafted him anyway. Hill became a star, and since then he's been investigated for child abuse in 2019. He was investigated for assault back in 2023. He's been involved in paternity lawsuits, a civil lawsuit, and that traffic stop last year before the first game of the season. All citations in that case were dismissed. But 1 week ago, police showed up to Hill's home after his wife's mother called 911 in response to a domestic dispute. Now, no charges were filed, but 1 day later, his wife filed for divorce, and the audio from that call was released and is being investigated by the NFL. Again, no charges were filed.
Saw Tyreek arguing and throwing her daughter's computer to the floor, and later grabbing her granddaughter and start walking with her in his arms towards the balcony of their 35th floor residence. She called police.
Oh my God.
The grandmother so worried, at one point telling the operator she's hiding in a room.
I've been praying.
And both Tyreek Hill and his wife Keita Hill telling police officers immediately after that their argument never turned physical and that their baby girl did not suffer any injuries.
Based on his history, there is a chance this could lead to a suspension by the league, or he could be handed the biggest guaranteed contract for a receiver ever. It's very hard to tell with the NFL these days. There's been plenty of speculation that Hill and the Dolphins are due for a split, and this comes after a season where Hill's production dropped from nearly 1,800 yards to under 1,000. A lot of that stemming from bad quarterback play and lingering injuries. That was also his age 30 season, so it's fair to wonder whether he's due to decline anyway. This domestic dispute isn't going to make anything smoother for Hill or the Dolphins, and it feels like a fresh start is probably needed across the board here. Maybe he could be dealt in the draft. The Dolphins would be smart to do so. Real quick, our Patreon hangout will be Wednesday this week. That information will be on Patreon or the YouTube community tab for all $10 a month donors. We hang out in a Zoom meeting once a month, so if that tickles your fancy, Patreon, YouTube memberships. Also, don't forget benchwarmershop.com where I sell my coffee. This is a great way to support the channel. Yes, we did have to raise the prices, but this is my coffee. We've got other coffee by other creators, but buy mine. Never forget, we always have fuck the refs available. The Derek Carr injury.
Surgery is an option. Surgery is an option for Derek Carr.
Did he just wake up on Friday and say, oh, my arm, it's broken?
How did that happen for you?
This could actually fuck up the draft. There have been rumors that the Saints would consider drafting Shedeur Sanders if he's available at pick 9. There has also been plenty of talk that they could select a quarterback later in the draft. Those things were true before the Carr injury news. Now, this team, the Saints, committed to Derek Carr this offseason by reworking his contract, which guarantees he's a Saint through 2025. He's going to make $40 million this season. There was a moment where it looked like they might actually cut ties with Carr this offseason, eat a bunch of dead cap, but he called their bluff, knowing the drop-off after him in New Orleans is steeper than the drop-off between Sean Payton and Dennis Allen. All of the Saints' offseason moves have indicated they think they can win in 2025, with Carr at the helm, and with new head coach Kellen Moore. But now Derek Carr's ability to play in 2025 is in jeopardy.
Final Jeopardy today, we deal with American names.
No, this is not about you, Aaron. Or is it?
If you're Aaron Rodgers, would you rather join the Saints, who obviously do have a quarterback need, or join the Steelers?
If Carr misses all of 2025, would the Saints consider Aaron Rodgers? Only if Rodgers played on a vet minimum. And according to Ian Rappaport, Carr's chances of missing 2025 are very real. Also, per Rappy, the Saints' current players were blindsided by this injury news.
The Saints, I believe, knew, but a lot of their players did not know. I think for a lot of people who either are with the Saints or are closest, we're kind of like, hold on, what?
Surgery is an option.
Carr has dealt with injuries every year recently. Actually, that's a good way to describe how good of a quarterback Derek Carr is. It looks like you might be dealing with some type of injury out there, Ian. Carr broke several bones in his non-throwing hand in Week 14, and those hand bones broke after he'd already missed time with an oblique injury. I've been dealing with an oblique injury all season as well. It's called eating too much dessert after dinner. Carr also dealt with a shoulder injury in 2023. It was an AC joint sprain, but he played through that, which was really smart because his current shoulder injury is said to stem from that AC joint sprain that never healed right. Did it not heal because he played through it? If this injury news seems weird, again, let's refer to Ian Rappaport, who flat out said he doesn't really know what the hell is going on here.
This has been just being totally honest, this has been a difficult one for me to figure out.
The Saints reworking Carr's deal means they had to believe he'd be ready to go by the time the season started. If Carr's ability to start Week 1 is actually in jeopardy, somebody's lying. Either Carr lied to the Saints about the severity of his shoulder issue when they reworked his contract to ensure he was with the team in 2025, or the Saints are letting this info get out intentionally close to the draft to add value to their pick at 9. That's my tinfoil take. Maybe they want to trade out of number 9, and they need other teams to really, really believe they are considering a quarterback at 9. Or maybe this is simply a surprise to them, and they now have more reason to draft a guy like Shedeur Sanders at number 9. The idea that they would not consider a quarterback with Rattler and Haener on the roster is laughable, even if they consider a quarterback later like Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, or Will Howard. Carr's injury compounds their need for a quarterback this draft. What we're going to find out in the draft is how NFL teams view Shedeur Sanders in comparison to the second tier of QBs. You either believe that he is better than Dart, Milroe, Howard, Leonard, etc., or the same. I think he's better, and the most accurate quarterback in this draft, who played behind one of the worst lines in all college football. If you need a quarterback, take the second best one, Giants, Browns, Saints. This Carr injury could be a godsend, New Orleans. I think Carr affects the Shedeur Sanders slide more than any single thing if the Shedeur slide does indeed happen. Shedeur slide, trademarked by me. I think the earliest Shedeur could possibly go is number 3 overall to the Giants, and I don't think he makes it past pick 21, where the Steelers are currently setting up camp in the first round. And there aren't a lot of teams between 3 and 21 that are in dire need of a quarterback, unless you believe the Saints, Colts, or perhaps the Dolphins are going to shake things up in that window, and I now do believe that for the Saints. And while I do believe Shedeur Sanders is the second best quarterback in this draft, I also understand a team like the Giants at 3, who are the first domino we are waiting for, could also believe a guy like Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe with 1 year with the team could be as good as Shedeur Sanders is right now heading into 2026. I think pairing Shedeur Sanders with a head coach like Kellen Moore makes a lot of sense. Sanders reminds me a little bit of Kellen Moore when he was at Boise State. Neither of them have elite traits, but they both relied on timing, accuracy, and anticipation. Moore would be the right kind of coach and play caller to get the most out of Sanders. But Sanders also isn't the only quarterback in play. The Saints could trade down, still be in Shedeur range, or they could trade down and target someone like Jackson Dart or Tyler Show, who's been one of the more mysterious risers in the last couple weeks before the draft, because they pick at 40 as well. PFF's latest mock draft has the Saints taking Dart at 9th overall, saying Dart, like Carr, excels at throwing the deep ball, but they're taking Dart at 9 because Shedeur's already off the board in their mock. PFF also has Jalen Milroe going 21st to the Steelers. Daniel Jeremiah also has Jackson Dart going to the Steelers at 21. So who fucking knows anything at this point? I don't. If the Giants don't draft Shedeur, he's a saint in my opinion. Even if the Saints are going to give Kellen Moore some slack for the precarious situation he's inheriting, I don't think he wants to stake his first year as a head coach in the NFL on the shoulders of Jake Haener, whose shoulders, don't forget, look like this. Or Spencer Rattler, two guys who went a combined 0-7 last season with 5 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. We don't think about Carr the same way we did when he was a Raider, but he raised that team's ceiling, went 5-5 with pretty damn good numbers on a team that was severely lacking offensive talent. And when they had offensive talent, Derek Carr sent him right to the hospital. Remember, they signed Chase Young to a 3-year deal, lured Justin Reed away from the Chiefs, brought back Jawan Johnson, signed Brandon Cooks again, and got Cam Jordan to agree to a new contract. When Ian Rappaport said this,
a lot of their players did not know. Hold on, what? Like, wait, what? Like, that's how this news felt.
I think it's because all of those players I just mentioned assumed Derek Carr would be driving in 2025. If we find out Carr knew his shoulder was worse than his side let on, it will be an all-time betrayal. Fitting with Easter coming up. The Saints could also go the veteran route, maybe try and band-aid it while Carr is on the mend, but that still feels aimless for a team that's not built to really compete right now. Kirk Cousins is on the market, maybe, and who knows if Kirk's disappointing 2025 was a matter of a lingering injury or the first step in a rapid decline, or a quarterback that'll be 37 years old when the season kicks off in September. All I do know is that what the Saints do at pick number 9 is fascinating, and I hope it's Sanders. Don't forget our coffee is available over at benchwarmershop.com. And thank you guys. We got our second video over 1 million views here, the ESPN video. Not the one I did Monday, the one we did 2 years ago with Johnny Barks and Will Keys.